You can feel it before you see it. The air gets heavier, prices rise faster than paychecks. People start using phrases like soft landing and temporary inflation. And yet deep down, everyone knows something is off. That's how every financial crisis begins. Quietly, invisibly. While the world convinces itself everything is under control. The uncomfortable truth is that financial crises don't fall from the sky. They are built, brick by brick, inside a system that rewards risk, punishes caution, and protects the powerful, while the rest of the population is left absorbing the damage. By the time the warning signs appear on the news, the collapse is already well underway. What most people don't realize is that there are patterns, predictable patterns, that repeat before every major crisis. And once you understand how those patterns form, you'll be able to see why the next one isn't a question of if, but when, and more importantly, why you don't have to be crushed by it. Let's break down how financial crises rise, explode, and quietly rearrange the world. Crises always start at the exact moment people feel safest. Confidence is high, jobs feel stable, credit is cheap, and politicians smile while describing the economy as strong and resilient. It's the same script every time. When money feels easy, people loosen their guard. They sign up for mortgages they barely qualify for. They upgrade cars instead of repairing the old ones. They invest in stocks they don't understand because everyone else is making money. A rising market has a hypnotic effect. It convinces people that risk has disappeared. But underneath that optimism lies a pressure the average person can't see. Debt. Debt quietly pumps oxygen into the economy. It inflates home prices, pushes stocks upward, and creates the illusion of endless growth. When borrowing is cheap, everything feels possible until it isn't. You hardly notice it at first. A few layoffs here, a company missing earnings there, prices rising faster than usual. But these aren't random events. They're tremors, shifts in the tectonic plates beneath the financial world. Because when an economy runs on borrowed money, stability is temporary. And that's where the danger begins to accumulate. Debt isn't just something individuals deal with. It's the foundation of the entire modern economy. Consumers use debt to live. Corporations use debt to survive. Governments use debt to function. Look around you. Credit card balances hit new highs. Corporations owe trillions in bonds they constantly roll over. Governments borrow more each year than the year before. Debt isn't the exception anymore, it's the baseline. But here's the thing, most people never learn. A financial crisis doesn't happen when spending is high. It happens when debt becomes unmanageable. When interest rates rise, when incomes stagnate, when refinancing stops being cheap, the pressure reaches its breaking point. Suddenly, the oxygen that kept the system alive becomes the spark that lights the fire. A family with $20,000 in credit card debt only needs one job loss to spiral. A company with too much leverage only needs one bad quarter to collapse. A government with rising interest costs only needs one bond auction to go wrong. This interconnected web of borrowing is fragile. One thread snaps and the tremor travels everywhere. But the next layer of danger is hiding somewhere most people consider untouchable: the banking system. Your bank account feels safe. You think your money is sitting there, waiting for you. But that's not how modern banking works. Banks don't hold your money, they lend it. They invest it, they leverage it, they take $1 and turn it into $10. This is called fractional reserve banking, and it functions perfectly until too many people ask for their money back. A bank isn't destroyed by losses, it's destroyed by fear. When confidence fades, when headlines talk about instability, when depositors get nervous, when institutions stop lending to each other, the system cracks, and it can happen overnight. Think of recent collapses, banks that were praised as solid one week and gone the next. They didn't fall because they were empty. They fell because everyone suddenly realized how thin the foundation was. Liquidity is the lifeblood of banks. But fear drains liquidity faster than any spreadsheet. And when the banking system starts shaking, the markets feel it instantly. Markets don't collapse because prices fall. They collapse because people panic together. One bad headline creates a dip. A dip triggers fear. Fear triggers selling. Selling triggers more selling. And in today's world, markets are wired for speed. Automated systems, margin calls, high-frequency trading. Once a downward trend begins, these mechanisms don't slow it down, they accelerate it. You've seen it before. Stocks plunging, bonds spiking, currency swings. People claiming this time is different. But it's never different. The mechanics are timeless. When confidence breaks, everything falls faster than most people can react. And while the headlines focus on the market chaos, the deeper damage happens quietly in households and paychecks. Financial crises don't create inequality. They expose it. The wealthy don't fear a recession. They prepare for it. They diversify their assets, hold cash reserves, use downturns to buy opportunities, and ride out volatility with minimal disruption. But ordinary people live in a different financial world. They depend on stable income. They carry high-interest debt. They rent instead of owning assets. They lack the cushion to absorb shocks. When a crisis hits, here's what happens to the average person. Jobs disappear. Credit tightens. Debt becomes heavier. Savings drain fast. Panic replaces planning. Meanwhile, the wealthy step in and buy what collapses. Stocks, real estate, businesses, all at a discount. When recovery begins, they emerge even richer. This isn't an accident. It's how the system redistributes wealth during downturns. The crisis doesn't crush everyone. It crushes the unprepared. And preparation doesn't start the day the news sounds the alarm. It starts years before. Not getting crushed by the next financial crisis doesn't require predicting the exact moment it hits. Nobody can do that. Not analysts, not economists, not central banks. What protects you is positioning. The strongest shield against collapse is not wealth. It's resilience, low high-interest debt, healthy emergency savings, moderate expenses, diversified assets, a life not built on fragile assumptions. Someone with no credit card debt, a few months of savings, and a decent financial cushion can survive layoffs, market crashes, or sudden expenses. They might struggle, but they don't break. But someone with maxed-out cards, no savings, and a lifestyle built on borrowed money collapses at the first sign of instability. A crisis doesn't break the person who is prepared. It breaks the one who is stretched too thin. And the final layer of protection has nothing to do with money. It has to do with mindset. The biggest financial losses aren't caused by crashes. They're caused by reactions. People panic sell at the bottom. They take terrible loans. They liquidate assets they should keep. They trust the wrong advice because they're desperate. Fear makes people predictable. Predictability makes them easy to exploit. During a crisis, the system counts on emotional chaos. That's when banks tighten lending. That's when institutions scoop up cheap assets. That's when corporations cut jobs and boost profits later. That's when governments make decisions they'd never get away with in calm times. The people who get destroyed are the ones who freeze, panic, or rush. The people who survive are the ones who stay calm, think clearly, and protect their long-term position. You don't need genius-level intelligence. You need discipline, especially when the world feels like it's falling apart. Financial crises have happened for centuries. They aren't anomalies. They're features of a system built on confidence, debt, and cycles of fear and greed. The system is fragile by design. It rewards the prepared and punishes the vulnerable. It redistributes wealth during every downturn. But once you see the structure, once you understand the underlying patterns, you stop being a victim of it. You don't need to predict the exact day the crisis begins. You only need to ensure that when the world shakes, you don't. The future belongs not to the wealthiest, nor to the smartest, but to the people who stay grounded while everyone else loses their balance. When the next crisis hits, and it will, Your greatest advantage is simple. You're no longer walking blindly into the impact. Now you see the system for what it really is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.